So we got a fantastic session on this evening, all about mixing, making beautiful music with the Dom and the Claudio.
Well done, guys.
Hi, my name is Claudio. I'm the owner of Dr. Mix, and here's my right-hand man, although he's left, Dom Segalas. He's our senior sound engineer, and he's also he's official artist for Yamaha. He also is a product specialist for Yamaha and Steinberg. So you know,
not yet.
not yet, no, but yeah,
Not officially yet.
Not official yet, but yes. So if you have any questions about, besides mixing and mastering, you know, about Cubase and anything like that, he's the man. And at the back we have Aaron from the Dr. Mix team, who's going to help us with this many cameras that we have. And yeah, let's cut to the chase. Let's have a sit. All right.
One question before we begin. How many of you guys do mixing and mastering for your music? Okay, cool. Great. You're at the right place. Good.
Nice.
All right.
All right. So here we have a session, which is nowadays we're using Cubase a lot. We do have a Pro Tools rig, and we work with most programs. But we really like Cubase because it's very flexible. It's really easy to export, import tracks. It's very easy to get things done quickly because Cubase has. It works like a little bit like a console. Can you show the console? So basically, right off the back, you can decide to have an equalization. You can filter out. You see. So I don't have to open any plugin. This is just resident. And at Dr. Mix, it's kind of vital that we do things efficiently, quickly. So every time we open a plugin to do something basic like filtering out the low end, that's a waste of time. That's why we like to use Cubase. This is one of the many reasons.
And the things that we're going to show today can be applied to any DAW, so don't be, scared if, because we're using Cubase. It's just that, it's the mixer is really brilliant, so you can do all things straight away. You can do your filtering, you can do your gain staging, and you don't even have to open another plugin. So basically, we use Pro Tools, we use Logic, we use Claudio is a big Ableton user, and he's doing some great things with it. But for mixing, we have everything, so we have decided that this is the best, and it took a while for us to switch.
Whatever is comfortable for you, whatever gets you from A to B, the quickest possible way, that's the best tool, because your inspiration doesn't run out.
Right.
Mixing and mastering, let's try, let's start with the basics. Okay, a lot of people get the basics wrong. Gain staging. It means getting the levels right before we even start mixing. When you open all of your tracks, right, you have to make sure that the sum of all of those tracks doesn't exceed a maximum level of what? Minus?
Well, definitely lower than 0.
Definitely lower than 0, because also with the process of mixing, you tend to raise your levels.
I would say if you want to be foolproof and you want to be safe, so you can do all your processing, and you want to make your kick drum puncher, or you want to have like a nice headroom for your bass and kick drum or for your drums, then I would say you should peak around minus 12 dBs. And that's another thing that's another reason why we use Cubase, because it has the control room, and we can actually set our colors here so that we can see when it's peaking at minus 12. So it's very easy. I'll show you. Let's go to the chorus.
This is an unmixed track.
On my way.
So let me just
Feel the beat down in my soul. It's a feeling I can't control.
Okay, I'll just
Lose your body to the
see when it goes over minus 12, I get the yellow. And that's because we've customized it to do that. So it really, really helps. It seems like a small thing, but it's so useful.
Yeah, I mean, the thing of going loud is something from the past, because, you know, we used to have tape, and tape was noisy, so we would counter balance that by pushing a lot of level into it, and also we would get a nice compression, natural compression. So that was a good practice, even with the first converters.
The same applies to your recordings. So when we had 16-bit resolution, so bit depth, it made sense to crank up your preamps. That's not the case anymore. If you have a good interface, even the most basic interface will record at 24-bit, 44.1. And with 24-bit, you have so much headroom. You don't have to cramp, you know, your preamps and go into the, you know, red zone. Just keep it low. I mean, I would record with a headroom of -12. And when you do that, your mixes will immediately come to life straight away. If you record everything so hot, you have to turn down the volume of every individual track, like we'll show you here, and then you lose resolution, if it makes sense. If you have any questions, don't be afraid, just raise your hand, we will answer.
If we're being too technical, too fast, just raise your hand if you have questions.
Yep.
Right?
I do a mix, I always do -20. Is it bad in the other sense, or it's okay? Because
It's kind of okay to be quieter, and I mean that you don't have to. Again, you know, this 24-bit resolution default settings, they can handle it pretty well.
this with limiter on the master track. So you have
Okay,
Oh,
we
okay.
will get there.
So I have like the headroom, but the volume is higher.
Yeah. So he's.
So you have -0.2, you mean? 0.20, no.
-20 dB, but then I put like a limiter.
limiter, yeah.
Oh, okay.
-20 works. We tend to be conservative. I mean, we tend to replicate the settings of the tape, because the tape wanted the snare drum and the peaks to go about -12, was it? So, and a lot of these machines, you know, they're modeled after the original tape. So we are just a bit conservative like that, and we choose something between -14 and -10. I would say that's good. Otherwise, you can work at that. No problem. If you want to do that, you can do that. Yeah. No, you don't lose punch. No, you don't lose punch. One last thing before we hit the kick drum. Yeah.
Yep.
One last thing.
Well, let me give you a quick tour of the project right here. So we have a, you know, like a pop track. So we have our drums right here. We have already done our bussing, which is very important. So basically, here's my kick drum. It goes to the, oh, you can't see it, right? Can you see it? Let me see if I can.
So basically, these are the drums, and we are routing them into an auxiliary track. So that basically, once we've done our balance, then the drums become just one fader. And this has several advantages. One is that you can write it easily. Second one is that you can apply a compressor or an effect directly on this auxiliary track. So if you have used some compression on your kick or on your snare, then you can have one layer of compression, and then when you get to the auxiliary track, you get another layer of compression, and then by the time you get to the mix bus, you have another layer of compression. So this is like divide and conquer. So you want to compress very little, many times.
Is that better?
All right.
Great. All right.
Right.
So as you can see, let me just go like that. So as you can see, like kick drum, snare, hi-hat, toms. Toms are going into their own separate bus, but this bus also goes into the drums. So here's our drum bus right here. We have also the overheads, the room mics, a mono room mic. Then we have our bass. We'll explain in a while what these things are. So this also goes into a bus. Do you know what a bus is?
So basically, you can have 10 channels onto a stereo channel, which goes then to the master channel. So it's a way of dividing things.
So yeah, to move on, we have guitars going to our guitar bus, lead vocals, backing vocals, quite a few of them actually, and synths right there. So before we even started mixing, what we need to do is to take a, listen to the track. And I know these things are kind of boring, but if you don't get those things right in the first place, your mix is not going to be good. Trust me. So, let me show you how it works. Let me go. All right. So here's our mixer, right here. And yeah, you can see the drums going into a drum bus and etc., etc. But you will notice that we have prepared it already. We have some filters going on. We have our gain staging right here. So what happens is, if we play the drums, see, we're going pretty low, but we've also set the gain so that they don't peak higher. And that's one thing that you can do with a gain plugin. If you have Logic, I think Logic does it as well. Cubase has it right there, so you can basically trim all of them with the same amount and make sure that it doesn't reach your threshold, which is, in our case, it's -12. So, you want me to demonstrate that, how you work this out? How many people here use Cubase? Okay, cool.
Cool.
Great. All right.
How many people here do filtering? Okay, that's good.
Cool.
So you know already the concept behind filtering. It's about taking the low end where it's not needed, so that because the low end carries most of the energy. If you filter out the low end from the tambourine, for example, or other instruments that don't need it, then you get rid of rumbles or frequencies that are not useful to the music.
So for Cubase users, the way you do it in Cubase, you go here, and the easiest way would be to deselect everything and then find your audio channels only. You don't want to do this on the buses. And then, for example, if I want to select my drums right here. All right, so see, now I've selected everything. If I hold Alt-Shift, I can change the gain for all of them. So that's very easy. Actually, the way we start a mix is we take all our tracks and do this on all our tracks. So that's the way to begin that. So you know that your levels are not exceeding that specific threshold. Now, the other thing is, let me go and select all the channels again. Filters. You gonna go?
Filters, yeah, I think I touched on filters.
We've done all the filtering because it would take so much time,
yeah,
and it wouldn't make sense.
I think we should dive in with the meat. How to mix the kick drum. All right, arguably, kick drum is one of the most important parts of your music. It doesn't have to be because, maybe it's ambient music, maybe it's something else. But usually, if we're talking about pop, rock, all the mainstream genres, the most known genres, popular genres, kick drum is vital. So the struggle is, how do I get it nice and fat and big? And now we'll demonstrate how to do that. Can we play the kick drum of this track? All right. Right.
Right, so here's our channel. Let me just zoom in for you so you can see it. Let me.
Can you see it? So yeah, with the kick drum, it's easy if you begin bearing in mind that that's gonna be the thing along with the bass that takes most of your energy in the mix. If you bear that in mind and then you set a nice mood for the kick drum to begin with, and then build the rest of the track around it. If big kick drum is what you need, then this is probably the best choice. And of course, it's all about the balance. Our ear is very refined. So why don't we hear that in context with the rest of the drums?
and the
just with the drums?
party is pumping.
I think the dynamic movement of these drums is not enough. So I would say, shall we start with some, I don't know, transient designing? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the first thing. I mean, if you're working with like acoustic drums, you're probably gonna have to treat them a little bit before you start mixing. This is where we can hear some bleed from the overheads, from the rest of the kit. I would still take it out. So one easy thing that you can do is you can just use the gates. Just to make it a bit cleaner. I mean, I wouldn't completely kill all the little sounds that come out of all the bleed, because it adds to the realism of the drums. But I mean, this is okay. It's in modest quantities. It's fine. So that's the first thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we can tame it a little bit, because it's extremely dynamic. Sometimes it's a bit quiet, and sometimes it's really loud.
How about if we do that? Do you want to do parallel, or do you want to do?
Just a very, maybe like very gentle compression. Okay,
Right.
let's try.
Just because, it's got, so it's got very soft hits, like sort of ghost notes, kind of hits, and we want just to reduce that dynamic range so that we can hear a little bit more the levels. So we're talking more about leveling.
Yeah, let's try a very simple one, a very, very simple one. Like even the stock Cubase compressor will do a good job on that. All right, so let's try and tweak this. So the first thing I want to do is take off auto makeup gain, because it will make it unnecessarily louder. I just want it to tame it a little bit. So see, I'm compressing just a couple of dBs. Can you see the gain reduction right here? And I can open the attack a little bit so that it doesn't kill all my transients. And the release, I want it to be a bit faster. Attack and release, I mean, we will talk about that, but it's one of the most important things when you start compressing.
You basically start shaping the transient of that sound, especially with percussive sound. So if I have something that comes forward and then I let it come through a little bit, but after 10 milliseconds or 20 milliseconds or 30 milliseconds, I push it back, then I get that little extra peak. So I've reshaped that sound. And same for the release time. So by the time the compressor stops acting, it'll take a bit longer or a bit shorter. So that has an impact on the envelope of the percussive sound being used.
Speaking of envelopes,
in fact, I mean we speak in terms of shaping the envelope and the transients a bit interchangeably when we are gating, compressing, or transient designing. And right now we are going to augment the attack with a transient designer.
Now this is very interesting, and there are many plugins that do this. It's an extremely cool way to make your kick drums punchier. Every drum element, actually. So let's try it. This is really drastic. I mean, the compression was kind of, on the polite side. This is drastic. Check it out. So let's use the attack here.
Can you feel that? Okay.
So I can change the length of the attack. So if I want just the very, very little beginning, I can just make it shorter. So we'll get like a very clicky sound. Check it out. But I don't want this. Maybe I want it to be a bit beefier. And then I can change the release as well. So if I want to make my kick drum shorter, check out. or I can make it longer. But this will, of course, bring up the room mic, the rest of the drum kit. So maybe just a bit shorter. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the impact is this. You have to imagine that the low end takes a little bit longer to form. So if you're shortening the length of that kick drum, you're also taking the low end out of it, because the low end doesn't have time to fully develop. So you're chopping that low end at birth. So this is kind of the stuff that I like to do in the mix, so that I understand how much to give it. But yeah, I mean, if you it practically behaves like a gate.
And straight away you can see why we were so conservative with our levels and with our gain staging.
Look where we're gone already.
See, with the envelope shaper, we're already picking at -12. So that's when most people get it wrong. They start to process their kick drum, and they don't have enough headroom, and then they go like, okay, I want to make it really fat. They add like low frequencies, they add compression, they make it louder, and then all of a sudden you've reached 0.
Right.
And then you bring everything down. And one more trick, the faders on every DAW, the digital faders, have much more resolution where they are at unity gain. So if you start a mix and your faders are right here, no, you don't have any resolution, because check out, when I move this, can you see that? See, I just move it just slightly, just very slightly, and I go from 24.6 to 22.9 just by slightly moving this. But when I have it on unity gain, check out.
The same movement is like fraction of a
See,
dB.
I have to move it like this to get a dB of change. So if you start a mix, make sure that all your faders are at unity, and then you fine tune them. Otherwise,
so in other words, do your gain staging by using clip gain, or by using the gain on the channel. You know, we always refer to this stuff as analog and old school, but this is where this technology comes from. So if you change the gain before the fader, then you will have a correct gain staging. Yes.
In Ableton, yes, you didn't have it. It's like just a fader, and you don't have the gain.
On Ableton, you actually go to the clip, and you can change the volume of the clip on the clip itself.
or you can use any plugin that has gain staging. So if you were in another DAW that doesn't have the pre-gain, which is like an emulation of a console, you could still go and use a very basic plugin. Even if you use like I don't know, the Cubase EQ, any EQ that has output. See?
Yep.
That's what you need. It's
you use that as first plugin in the chain, and then you get.
And there are some very cool gain plugins around. I can't remember the name of the company that was making one, but it was I think it's Sonalxis makes one. It's free. It's called Fader or something like that. I mean, you can Google it, but there are many plugins that do that. So even if your DAW doesn't have it, it's fine.
How about if we just demonstrate the parallel pull tech trick? Because this is one of our favorite tricks. So the idea is this: if you pass a sound through a compressor, then you're going to get all of the sound of that compressor, and you're gonna slam it down when the compressor hits, and you're going to lose some of the sound in the process, because this is like a subtractive action. So what you can do instead is you can copy the channel, which Dom is now going to do. In this case, have we got it already or no? Okay.
No, we will demonstrate from scratch.
Okay, so let's create an effects channel for the kick drum.
So it's a SEM basically. It's an auxiliary channel.
Yeah. And we're gonna use what? Just any compressor. Any compressor will do.
We're gonna use the vintage compressor from Cubase,
Which is like an 1176 imitation.
1176 emulation, and 1176 has worked very well with this type of processing. So if you can use Waves, you can use Stephen Slate Digital. What else?
Every company does its
Yeah.
own version of the 1176. It's the concept that counts. So in other words, what you do, you copy this, and when we do parallel channels, we call it equal for parallel. Okay, and yes, and then we make sure that this goes again into the drum bus, so that we keep consistency with everything else. And there you go. So now we have an exact copy. We want to make sure that the send is at 0. It's pre. I mean, we did use, to be fair, we did use some envelope shaper and some compressor already. But
Yeah, but the thing is, if you want the main sound to be kind of what you want, if it doesn't have punch, just create it first and then do your parallel. It will be much better if you just have a very loose kick drum and it doesn't really work and you parallel this weak sound. Just make it nice and then do your actual parallel.
okay, so let's solo the parallel now, touching the letter L.
Yes, that's also a very cool thing. We don't, because it's pre, we can just listen to this without even listening to the original signal.
The original signal. So now we're listening just to the parallel channel.
If you don't use the listen function in Cubase, that's what you need to do in order to listen all your sounds. Reverbs, delays. If you just want to hear the return and not the original signal, that's the fastest way to do it.
All right.
Right?
Okay, so basically we're gonna compress the heck out of it. Which we wouldn't dare to do any other way than parallel. So basically now by doing
It's a
this,
nice compressor.
it's a good compressor. Yeah.
See, the attack and release are making a dramatic change. Check out. If I open the attack, see?
But we do want it on a sort of shorter, because we do want to kill that low end. Amazingly, we do want to kill that low end right now, at this stage.
So we always make sure that none of our plugins is clipping. That's very important. So see, we have
No clipping.
enough headroom again. If we don't have enough because we're going to add some low end now, we're just going to bring it a little bit lower.
And the next plugin we're gonna use, it's any Pultec style EQ, something that is has a nice color, like a nice, yeah. This is one.
This is from Waves. This is the Pultec EQ, and check what we'll do now.
There you go. Gain, pull it down, 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 down. All right.
So we make sure it doesn't clip because it already clipped.
Okay. I think you can push it even more. Just go
Let's
all
do
the
it.
way up. There you go.
Nobody's gonna die.
Nobody's gonna die.
All right.
All right. All right. So now we take that channel, we bring it completely all the way down, and we just listen to the drum kit.
Should we listen just to the kick drum? Just
No,
so
let's listen to the whole thing.
drum kit. Cool.
So that it makes more musical sense.
and the pop.
And now we're gonna sneak that back into it. Hello.
There we go.
There you
Now
go.
we're talking.
I can't swear on this system because I'm not sure whether it's the right plugin for this sound or if it's just the room that's fooling me. I wouldn't be completely happy with the way it is, but you get the concept, right?
I mean, if we just mute this, there's no kick drum.
Okay, let's put it down a little bit. Let's
yeah,
be
I mean
fair.
now
Come on.
it might
that.
sound a little bit too
Yeah.
much, but trust me, if you add all the instruments,
Yeah.
then I mean you've been there, right? I mean I've been there lots of times when I started mixing. Had my kick drum great and my drum kit was great, but when I was adding the bass and the vocals, then I don't have enough kick drum. That's the reason this helps. And if you don't have enough kick drum, you can just raise that and just fine tune it, and you're not changing the level.
Yeah, that's another aspect of it, because it's so smashed, so compressed that it's never gonna go above that certain level. So it's gonna stay there. You know, even if the drummer is hitting a bit softer or a bit harder, it won't matter to the parallel channel because we are smashing it completely. So it will offer a constant heartbeat pulsing from down below, which will drive your track.
And of course, the right way to do it would be to group these two guys now into a group channel.
That's right.
Or an auxiliary channel, however you want to call it, and route this one to the drums. So I'll do that really quickly now.
In fact, that also gives us a chance for extra compression. So, you know, once we've done this trick, we can use, I don't know, maybe some limiter, so that we compact this this recipe together, and it becomes even more powerful.
There we go. We did it already. It's really fast the way you do it here. Let's try and create a nice sound for the drums. Let's go to our drum bus right here. And
let's just do it quickly.
Yeah.
So that we can move on to the other.
Maybe
Is that okay if we go with this rhythm? Good rhythm for you.
Cool. All right. The first thing we would add on the drum bus would be a nice bus compressor. And for this one, we might use, I mean, this is, come on, let's use the red one. This is like an emulation of the Focusrite Red. It works really nice on, you know, rock drums, pop music. It's very punchy. So, you know, we just want the needle to just touch.
We want to kiss the needle.
Yeah, kiss the needle. Great. So, in general, we would go like slow attack, so we don't eat the transients, and kind of medium to fast release ratio. It doesn't really matter. It depends on your compressor, but I mean, then we start lowering our threshold, and this tames the drum kit a little bit. Because you can see this eats all your headroom. I mean, the drum kit could really eat all your headroom. This really loud. I mean, I think we can go lower with a kick drum, all right?
Yeah.
And now I will go with the bass. I won't touch these ones because I like this relationship, so I'll just go like this. And if we need to readjust it when we bring in the other instrument, it's fine. I think that's okay. We're compressing like 2 dBs.
Yeah.
2.5 dBs. And we haven't added any makeup gain, right? Don't be obliged to, okay, I compressed 2 dBs, let's compensate. It's not necessary. I mean, here we know that this is going to be our maximum peak of the track. The drums are going to give the peak, so it's okay if it peaks at, you know, like what is it doing now? Let's see. Yeah, it's minus, it goes up to -10, which is okay now, because now we're starting mixing.
On the loud side, but you know, with all that low end that we've added.
And if we think it's on the loud side, we can still go to our drums and just pull them down a little bit. That's cool. So I wouldn't want to make this louder just because I compressed 2 dBs. Does it make sense? Just leave it like that.
Also, you know, the A-B thing everyone talks about, yes, but you know, this is getting louder, so it's not really better, this is just louder. It's good to be experimenting with A-B testing. We do a lot of A-B testing when mixing because we compare to other tracks, to other existing tracks. That's vital. But in terms of building your sound, don't be afraid if you're a little bit louder, a bit quieter. You need to have a good performance. Music isn't finished with performing it. When you're mixing it, that's a performance. So if you're driving that car the way Chris Lord-Alge says, like, I'm driving my car, and he has a point, because you're driving, it's a performance, so don't be, that's why we say, 14 dB, 12 dB, something like that, so that you have a little bit of room for a little bit excitement, because that's what excitement is about, what mixing is also about. With analog machines, you can crank up the volume, and just because you did that action, it sounds a little bit more interesting because you're introducing that circuitry. They spent a lot of time, developing that circuitry. So even if it's a little bit louder, it's fine. Don't worry about that.
Okay, should we add another layer of excitement? I can't do without this thing, so I will do that.
Oh,
Just add quadrafuzz, just to give a little bit of excitement to the drums. This is a multi-band saturator, yeah. So it gives you different types of saturation for each band. So you can see the bands are right here. All right. So here are my bands. So I have tape, tube, distortion, like a amp simulation, and decimator, which is like a bit reduction module. But for this one, I'm gonna go for the tape for all of them because it gives a really nice sound. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. So low end. I'm exaggerating a little bit. Let's try the low mids. Snare. Just a little bit of that, and just a little bit of excitement on the highs. So without it,
let's be fair, let's pull it down a little bit in volume.
Oh, you're
just a
doing
little
it
bit.
now.
Now I'm doing it, But I want to be fair
it
on
doesn't
this.
matter, don't pull it down.
Don't pull it down, but just
But
for this
just-
demonstration, just so you can understand.
It's richer in harmonics. See? It's kind of flat. And it's these little layers of, excitement that you add to the mix that really makes a difference. If you go with one plugin and just turn it all the way up, then you're going to end up with something sounding really harsh.
And these are minute changes, I give you that. I mean, these are sometimes they are not exactly easy to hear, but it's all these elements, adding texture and adding little elements to it that will build your mix eventually. So,
Okay, one last thing, because it's easy. The last thing we're going to add is a tape plugin. I mean, in the studio we would do it with real tape, but we couldn't bring the tape with us today.
yeah, a bit heavy.
All right. This will tame the transients a little bit more so that they don't peak so much, and also it will give us a very nice sound, like the tape sound. This is from Slate Digital, virtual tape machines. Let's drive it a little bit. And this compensates for the output, so we're fine. And you have different speeds.
We're squashing it a little bit now.
There's subtle differences, but they are... Can you tell the difference? So it's a very common practice to add a tape.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't have to be the sound that you're going for. Just because now what we're really trying to say is we're looking for texture, for personality, because at the end of the day, with electronic music, especially with presets and stuff, they sound all the same. So if you don't give it a bit of personality, then it doesn't sound interesting. And this is one of the things that we like about analog equipment, and especially valve equipment, is that they introduce that element of randomness, that sort of theory of chaos kind of thing. No analog machine sounds like the next one. They all sound different, and especially valve, it's a great way to convey character, assertiveness, personality, to pretty much any sound. I mean, valves can sound very clean, just about as clean as anything can get, but they can also distort really nice, especially the nice equipment that we're so lucky to have.
Should we move on to the bass?
Bass.
Yes. All right, for the bass, we knew that this would take longer than we expected, so we've already created the parallel channels, but let's listen to the bass first with the drums, right?
You know what, I would turn that parallel compression a little bit down, because I think it's a bit too much. Maybe a bit more? That's cool. Can just quickly, can you put some Transient Designer on the snare drum? Because the snare drum doesn't have enough punch now, and it's kind of bugging me.
Okay, let's
Sorry about
process
that.
the snare really quickly, all right?
Just really quickly. Just
really quickly, lightning fast. Okay, tools.
Oh, thank you. And that's
Just a little bit of bottom end. You want this sound.
yeah, maybe a bit too much. A bit too much. Yeah. And then maybe just a little bit of saturation on the hi-hat. It sounds too sterile to me, and it's not driving.
Let's drive it a little bit. If it's really low, you can just drive it
Yeah.
again.
Okay. Okay, maybe it's too loud now. Maybe a bit more. I'm looking for a balance between the three instruments so that it makes sense. Because otherwise you just get boom, 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 and the rhythm doesn't flow. Just a tad more hi-hat. Okay, I'm happy. But now we were saying bass. Sorry, bass.
All right, bass. Let's. You know what? I'm gonna mute.
I do this all the time. So.
All right. Let's mute everything else, and let's go to this guy. So this is the dry sound. Maybe we can compress it a little bit. A very nice compressor for the bass is this CLA 2A, which is...
It's my favorite.
I know, that's why.
Well, it's not my favorite. My favorite would be the Thermionic Culture,
Phoenix.
the Phoenix would be my choice number one. But this is a classic. Come on.
It's also my favorite, so this works well on vocals, it works well on bass, what else? Some synth sometimes, it's very nice, and the real thing is also amazing. So we're compressing like 2-3 dBs, not too much again, but now we've set up the compressors, the parallel channels for you so that we don't have to go through the same thing. Let's listen to this parallel channel. Yeah. All right, so what we're doing here, let me show you what we have right here. Alt Shift and E, if you do that, if you press Alt Shift and E, it will show you all the plugins that you have with this channel. So there you go, that's what we have. Very similar setup to the kick drum. So we have an 1176 emulation. Let me just... And we're compressing a lot. Fast attack, medium to fast release, and compress like 10 dBs. Now, that's extremely important for the bass, and the reason is, you know, for the bass, many bass players are not good enough. And it's not because
Most of them.
It's not. It's a very important instrument. If you and it's not only the player, it's also the instrument. Some instruments are not good enough, like the Yamaha basses, for example. And basically, you get a very loud notes on some frets, and very kind of dead notes on other frets. That's a big problem. It can make your track collapse completely, because when you have this dead note, then you have no low end in your track, and all of a sudden you go like, oh, what's going on? And you lose all the interest in the track. So what this trick does is it compresses the bass so much that it keeps like a almost constant level, no dynamics compared to the original sound, which is already good because I played it. All right, so yeah, and then we add low ends.
Same trick as before.
Same trick. So now let's try and blend it in
With the drums.
with the drums.
Maybe we pull down the master fader now, the bass fader.
And of course, another trick you can do, what is it?
It's the sidechain compression. Because basically what happens is that the bass and the kick drum are hitting exactly at the same spot, plus we've been very cheeky and we've been artificially augmenting the low end of both those instruments. So now we have when the kick drum hits along with the bass, then you get a lot of low end. So the bass and the kick drum are fighting for it. We don't want them to fight for it. One way is to just slightly distinguish the frequencies. We don't have time enough to do it, and also the listening ambient is not perfect to determine that. You can use headphones, good headphones. Good headphones will help a lot. So you can choose a little bit, frequencies to shift a little bit for the bass towards this direction and the kick drum towards that direction. But the king of all tricks is side chaining, which means every time the kick hits, we slap down the bass.
Yep. So the way you do that in Cubase, you just load up a compressor plugin. It has to be a VST3 plugin. And then you activate the sidechain. That's it. So now I just have to make sure that I remove auto gain again because I don't want it to go louder. And softening, I don't need softening. I'll just and the settings I'll show you. Okay, so let's go and set it up. We go to our kick drum. And you can see that we have a sidechain
Zoom it in.
option right here. Yep, there we go. So now I route it to that, and I say, let's go up. I want this to be at 0. So all the way, and pre-fader. Or post-fader, that you can, it depends on what sound you want, how much compression you want. But let's try and go to our channel now. Bass is here. All right, so now we have this compressor, and check out. You will see that when the kick drum hits, the bass gets ducked, all right? Check it out. And let's exaggerate a little bit so you can hear what it does. So I want to make it kind of fast. The release, I want to tune it to my rhythm. Especially when you're doing dance music, that's really, really important.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating, of course, so we won't do that, but... And also it makes the kick drum and the bass sound like they're playing together. So it creates a tighter sound.
There's one interesting aspect. Of course, we're changing the level of the bass, but it has an impact more on the kick drum than it has an impact on the bass. Because when the kick drum hits and all that low end comes to you, you can't really hear anything else because you're overpowered by that. But if the bass is playing along with it, then all of the tracks at some point is gonna kick back because the master bass is gonna hit it and the whole track will go down. And the kick drum especially will go down. But when you do this trick, the kick drum doesn't move anymore, and so if you try and bypass that effect, you can hear more dramatic effect on the kick drum rather than on the bass. Try and listen to that.
Exactly.
In the chorus, we need the bum bum.
Yeah.
Kick drum is a bit confused now. Please raise your hand if you can hear that. Yes, that's good. That's good. That's good.
And also, because you have so many frequencies, low frequencies playing at the same time, you also gain 2 or 3, maybe more dBs of headroom at your master bass. So
Which is vital.
then you get a louder master. If you don't do that, even if you give it to a mastering engineer, they will be like, I have so many trans and so much low end, I have to make it quieter. Or you have to compromise with the low end. So either your track is going to have less low end, or it's going to be louder. What do you prefer? Or they will try to find the middle ground if they're good enough. But if you mix like this, then you have this extra dBs of headroom and you can make your track louder. And that's one of the big secrets to make a track louder.
A track louder, because, you know, louder is not necessarily better, but if you have good gain staging, good filtering, good bus routing, good structure, good compression, good everything, at the end of the food chain, you will have something that you can make loud if you want to. It's not like you're trying to force something loud. It's something that is louder because it has a harder core. Every sound, like if you do parallel compression, we don't have time to explain all kinds of different parallel compressions that we can do, but it means that every time you're adding a little bit of harder texture and core to it, which makes the sound more solid and more easy to compress at the end of the food chain.
Right, so the second parallel channel right here on the bass is a bit different. So I'll show you how it works. So this one is going to be my bass presence. And what does it mean? Because bass is, it's mainly low frequencies and it doesn't have lots of mids and lots of top end usually, then it tends to get lost in the mix. So what people tend to lose is the notes of the bass and the actual... is there a bass there, or is it just a, just like a rumble? So, yeah,
it's true.
You love that,
It's
right?
yeah, because it's not all about the low end. In fact, in the bass, the perception of the sound of the note of the bass is still the mids.
Yeah.
Because that's what our ear are designed to hear better. I don't know if you know the Fletcher-Musson curve. Well, basically, the way our ear is designed, depending on the volume, we listen to things. We will hear the mid frequencies better. That's why we have developed speech the way we have done. So even on bass, although it's all about the bass, the note perception is in the higher register. So by introducing a distortion, an harmonic distortion, we actually start exciting the upper octaves, and that's why we will recognize the bass more, because we can hear the note.
Yep.
As Dom will demonstrate right
you
now.
You gave it away. But anyway.
Did I step on your point?
No, it's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine. We'll talk about it later. All right. So yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do here. So basically, this parallel channel is going to have a saturation plugin. You can say distortion as well. We choose to use this one. It's called Devlock, and it's brilliant. So let me show you how it sounds in isolation. Okay, let me... So that's all right. So I'll start introducing some distortion, some harmonics. See this, and that's one of the main reasons why we don't do it on the original channel, because this doesn't sound very, very natural. So we do it in parallel so we can blend it. So check it out. I will also compress it a little bit, make it darken it a little bit, and I can also, because I'm using a completely different channel, I can go here and change my EQ. Maybe I want to remove the low end from this one. All right, but I don't want to remove it in the pre, because I want the low end to drive the distortion. You know, so I will add if I want to add a filter, I will just add a studio EQ or whatever EQ right here, and maybe I can just filter it like that. All right, let's cut it. Because I don't need the low end from this one. That's enough. So, now let's play it with the rest of the kit. And you know, now it might seem like it's too much, but when you add the guitars and you add the vocals and the synths, then you're gonna miss the bass. And this will be your solution. You just raise this little fader right here. And
in fact, if you want to highlight some passages of the bass, you don't need to raise the whole bass and mess about with the low end. You can just touch that thing. And this works equally for vocals. In fact, for anything. You can use parallel compression and parallel treatment on anything that you can think of.
yeah, actually, yeah, that's a very cool trick that Claude just said. Just automate, instead of automating the whole bass, just automate if you want more low end on a passage, just automate the low end. If you want to have more presence, because the player just did a nice fill, and you want it to shine, just add a little bit of the distortion channel. And then, not only you can make it more prominent, but also, you don't have to raise the low end. If you raise the whole bass, you will raise the low end as well, and then your track will be squashed by the mastering limiter or the mastering compressor, so you will squash your track. If you do just this, you get the impression that you hear more bass, so more low end, but it's not there. It's just a trick.
Also, the ear it takes the ear just a fraction to understand what type of sound we're talking about. After the ear understands that sound, it's a given. I don't need to listen to the rest of it because I know it's already there. So this is like psychoacoustics. So sometimes we use those tricks to say that something is louder than it actually is, just by making it louder for just a little bit. You will perceive it as louder, and then your preconceived idea of that sound is that. So you don't need to keep it on being loud.
All right. Let's see where we are. But yeah, our levels are still healthy. We're peaking at -9. It's still cool. It's still cool. I mean, we can always bring it down a little bit. The only thing we have to do is just, not because we're so organized, we can just lower just our buses. So if I go like this, if I hit Alt-Shift, I can just lower the buses, in relation with each other. By the same amount, but they are still get the same balance. You see how it's really minor changes, just a couple of dBs, so we're never going over that. Let's go for vocals.
Let's go for vocals. And all right, so with the vocals, there are a few aspects to it. One is the consistency with the level. Well, it has to do a lot with how if it's a good singer or not, and whether that singer has a good microphone technique as well. So There are various types of compression that you can apply to vocals. The generic one would be for leveling, so that the quiet parts are a bit louder and the louder parts are a bit quieter. We tend to adjust the clip gain to prevent the compressor from having to work too hard. So having good tracking and having maybe a little bit of good comping, good editing is starting with the right foot. But otherwise, let's listen to what we have and see how you can improve it.
I'll add this one and bypass it because it's gonna be that.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in your feet. Let's get this party started. Dancing under the moonlight.
Hard because let's work on this one.
All right.
Chorus.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in your feet. Let's get this party started.
It's a good singer, but he's dynamic, all right? So we need to tame him a little bit. So we use the CLA2A, this one. There are so many good vocal compressors, sorry. This works very nicely. Would you care to?
Yeah, it's a classic. We keep on referring to the original analog counterparts because that technology has been developed for decades, whilst digital sound sounded really bad just 20 or 25 years ago. They had time to develop this technology for a long time. The LA2A was designed for broadcast. So it was designed to keep things at a level without being heard too much and possibly make it, more appealing, sounding more beautiful. And this is a design that comes from, I think, the 50s. So the first models were built like in the 50s. So imagine how old this technology is, like 90-year-old. There is a reason why we keep on using these machines or their digital counterparts.
Let's see what we've done first. We've filtered the low end. You can go, it depends on the vocal. If you have a female vocal, a very ethereal vocal, you can go all the way up to maybe 200. Depends. Basically, the spectrum analyzer will tell you what's going on. So if I play this, go to the correct channel.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm.
See, there's lots of stuff going on. Oops.
Let's get this party started.
See, we can't hear that, but it's taking headroom. Lots of headroom because it's low end.
Check it out, check it out.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm
minus
in
12.
your feet. Let's get this party started.
So we don't need that.
That's right.
Lose your body.
And I can see that there's a roll-off right here. This is the real voice, and
Feel the rhythm.
these are pluses, stuff like this, foot stomps and stuff like, stuff that you basically will have a lot if you're recording in a home studio. So, let's not go so high.
Yeah.
Because in the verse, he goes lower than that. He goes one octave lower, so.
In your feet. Let's get this party started.
A safe point would be 75, 80 hertz or something like that. So, cool. Now let's add the compressor.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in your feet.
And that's the great thing about these compressors. You compress 7 dBs, they still sound good, they sound natural.
Sound natural, like it's not even there.
Let's get this party started.
See, and the main thing with vocals, when you start mixing them, they kind of scare you. They're like popping out of the speakers and you go like, whoa, that phrase was really loud. They're scary. scary vocals. But you know, you add a compressor and you solve that problem. This is very good because check out.
Lose your body
With
to
a body, this word is really loud on the original.
the
Without it,
beat. Feel the rhythm in
I
your
would touch the
feet.
gain and pull down the
Let's
gain a
get
little
this
bit and pull this
party
back up
started.
so that we can have more. Yeah,
Lose your body to the
that's
beat.
good.
Feel the rhythm in your feet.
see, your is
Let's get
really
this
loud.
party started.
This makes it smooth.
Lose your body to the beat.
The next thing I would do immediately is, I mean, he's a great singer, but sometimes he sounds a little bit strident. It might be the microphone. So what I would do is, before I even start doing more processing, I would take out everything that I don't like. So let's find what frequency is that could be bothering us, all right?
Feel the rhythm in your feet. Let's get this party started.
So I just boost first, find the frequency, and then I'll pull it down a little bit. I mean, the best way to do that with vocals, it's with dynamic EQs.
EQ.
So basically, dynamic EQ is exactly like normal EQ, but what it does is when he's strident and he's a bit harsh, it pulls it down, but it doesn't do it all the time. So in the verse, when he's singing kind of quietly and he's more velvety, and you know he has this nice low end and he's not harsh, it won't do anything. So the sound will be as it was before we processed it.
And
So-
it's different than multiband compression. Multiband compression is when you divide the sound in 3 bands, for example, and then you compress each band individually, but those are broad strokes. Dynamic EQ means that a specific frequency, when it goes up above a certain level, a certain threshold, then an EQ will start coming in and just addressing that specific frequency. So that's how it's different.
Yeah, exactly. And also you can, with a very specific cue as well, you can just decide how wide your cue will be.
You can laser focus on the offending frequency.
Exactly. So basically what we did now, it might seem like it lost some brightness, but this will allow us to make the vocal louder actually, because if you have this annoying frequency, you turn it up and you go like, oh, that's so annoying, I'll just pull it down. But if you make it nice and smooth,
Your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in your feet. Let's get this party started.
maybe, I mean, he doesn't have problem with S's. The S's are very nice. They're okay.
And also, of course, this is a fixed EQ. It's not the ideal tool to do this, but it's just to identify the problem with vocals. This specific one, anyway.
All right. So now, should we go and add some parallel compression?
I think that we kind of explained parallel compression
Okay.
already.
Let's do it quickly.
Okay, let's do it quickly.
Okay, here's what we have on the vocal channel. Same thing, we just need the vocals, we don't want them to go up and down. We want them to be like nice and constant. So we compress this parallel a lot so it doesn't have any dynamics, and then we blend it in. But the one extra thing that we've done on this one is we've added a little bit of saturation. And most commercial tracks nowadays, they have a little bit of distortion on the vocals. That's how they get this nice, contemporary sound. So let's try that.
You can get away. Sorry for interrupting. You can get away with a lot of distortion in a mix. You know, your ear won't hear that distortion. Even if 40% distortion, 50% distortion on bass, you can get away with it because everything else is so loud that's just gonna mean harmonics that cut through. Sorry.
All right, so let's listen to what we've done here. I'm going to activate one by one.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm.
Actually, this plugin used to be free. Aaron, wasn't it free? Little radiator. It was free. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's a very cool plugin. It's just the preamp. It's a preamp, right? It emulates what preamp does it? Can you remember? Anyway, it's very nice.
I'm in your feet. Let's get this party started.
We give it a little bit of harmonics, and now we compress it a lot.
Lose your body to the beat.
See, it barely moves.
Feel the rhythm in your feet. Let's get this party started.
And now we blend it in with the rest.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in
And
your
maybe we can
feet.
compress on the bass as well.
Let's get this party started.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the
Maybe some
rhythm in
SSL
your feet. Let's get
On the
this
vocals?
party started.
just on the bass. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, on the bass. Yeah, sure.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in your feet. Let's get this party started.
So we compress on the bass, but now we need to put the vocals into a space, right?
Please,
Okay.
if you will. While you prepare that, don't over compress the vocals because the vocals drive the song. So if you go, "Lose your body," that sort of movement that it does, if you kill that dynamic movement, it won't drive the song anymore. So it's not true that you have to squash everything. That's why we like parallel compression, because it allows us to keep that dynamic movement. I mean, with the LA to A that we've used, that is very gentle, that's very transparent, and it doesn't really squash. It just levels, and it's also very slow sort of compression compared to the 76, which is very fast. So yeah, space.
Let's add some space because, you know, if the vocals are completely dry, they sound a bit amateurish. So, one thing that you might want to do some research on and you want to, you know, explore and experiment is reverbs and delays. And I would say try and learn how they actually work and just try and create your sound. Don't rely on presets, especially with reverbs. Presets are great, but like 50% of the time they won't work for your track. You have to fine-tune them. So vocals, we have send. Most of the times, you know, reverbs and delays are going to be on send channels on auxiliary tracks and not as insert effects, unless you want to have like a very specific weird special effects. So let's try the reverb.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in your feet.
And this reverb we designed from scratch. So there we go. We're using this specific one. It just worked well with this track. It's very nice. It's from Native Instruments. Anyway, this is like a lexicon clone. So as I said, try not to rely on presets. You want a long reverb. You have to put your vocal into a room. And it doesn't have to sound like a natural room, actually. I mean, most of the times, the most natural reverbs to our ears are not real spaces, because, you know, in the 80s and the 70s when reverbs came out, they were not real spaces. They were exactly.
The AMS reverb, I can.
So that's why algorithm reverbs like this one are still so popular when we have convolution reverbs, which you can actually sample a space, and you can have the exact same acoustics like Vienna Auditorium or whatever, you know. They sound great, but when you try and put them in a pop track or in a dance track, they just don't work. They work with orchestral instruments, though. But anyway, so yeah, so basically what we did here was we just made sure that our reverb is not long, because the track is kind of on the medium to fast side. So the reverb tail, if it goes too long, then it will just make everything blurry, and the vocals won't have definition. They will be just washed out in reverb. So we added a little bit of pre-delay. Pre-delay is when the delay between your vocal and when the reverb will kick in. So let me show you, let me demonstrate that.
Let's get this party started.
Now it starts immediately. Let me exaggerate. Look.
Lose your body to the beat.
Can you hear the reverb?
Feel the rhythm
It's almost
in
like-
your feet. Let's get this party started.
What this allows you to do is actually get the reverb out of the way of the vocals. Because if the reverb comes, like say, I like to use pre-delays at around 70, 80. I like to keep them in tempo, so it's generally I use like a 16 notes. If it's a straight track, of course, if it's a shuffle or triplet, then it's gonna be slightly different. But so that I have time to listen to the vocals before the reverb from that vocal kicks in and gets the thing a bit confused. Because if I'm hearing that at the same time, that might confuse me a little bit. So pre-delay is great.
Yeah, so basically we did the pre-delay thing, and then we also made sure that the reverb is on the short side. Not like a room reverb, but it still has a nice tail of 0.9 seconds. But another trick on this specific reverb is we added some pre-echoes. So it also includes a bit of delay, if I can describe it like that. Check it out.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in your feet. Let's get this party started.
And this gives you like a nice three-dimensional sound straight away. And I didn't even add delay, okay? Not yet. So that's a reverb. I mean, for reverbs, you can do many things. You can filter them. So maybe if you don't want your reverb to be so bright, you can just go into the reverb channel and just filter it out, like this. Or just EQ them if you want to create a weird effect.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in your feet. Let's get this party started.
You know, you can do some really cool effects apart from just the regular, typical reverb sense. But now let's... I would tend to filter the low end of the reverb.
Yeah, I agree that.
Because it doesn't... Unless you're doing film scores, or if you're doing like sound design, where you want like a dinosaur foot stomp or something, then yes, you will need the low end from the reverb. But other than that, I don't think
It's
there's
just
any
rumble.
use.
You don't really need it.
Exactly. Let's add some delay as well. Let's go here. And you know, I mean, delays are more popular these days in pop music, at least, compared to reverbs, because they tend to be a more contemporary sound, where reverbs are a bit, you know, just an older sound, but reverbs are coming back with a vengeance.
With a vengeance.
Yeah. So let's try some delay.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm.
Ooh.
Yeah. And check out what we've done here. We have the Echo Boy, which is a brilliant delay plugin. It's amazing. So this adds a little bit of, you know, a few echoes on a ping pong configuration. Let me remove that. Okay, let me show you.
In your feet. Let's get this party.
And to begin with, we've also added this diffused style that makes it sound almost like the delay is reverbed as well. Let me show you how it sounds without it.
Started.
It sounds very... Okay, we have a delay there. It's very obvious that you have a delay, and sometimes you don't want that because it will mask the vocal as well. So...
Lose your body to the beat.
Diffuser.
Feel the rhythm in
I mean,
your feet.
I don't have to rely on presets. I can go hit edit and just do it on my own. I try to find it, I can't find it, let's do it.
Let's get this party started.
See, I just did it on my own. You just have to know your tools. If you buy a plugin, try and learn it. Don't install a million plugins and, oh, I found this, I found that, oh, and then you never learn it. Just find good tools, buy them, because that will make you work on them.
You're gonna appreciate when you pay for them.
Yeah. So it's not like we want to preach of or anything,
Absolutely
but
not.
it's just it actually, that's the way the human mind works. If you buy this and you have paid for it, you say, okay, what does this thing do? Let me try it. But if you get it for free, it will sit there and you will never use it. And you will never learn it. That's the most important thing.
Lose your
So the next thing is, because this sounds so obviously as a delay, we've added an extra, we've processed it with reverb. So it sounds a bit more, it has like tail, but we don't add more reverb to the main vocal. So check out.
body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in your feet.
Without it.
Let's get this party started.
And that also makes the delay sound a bit more wide, so you get an extra layer of depth on your mix.
That's right. So the concept is, don't just slam a reverb on it, but you can layer them. You can decide to have different EQs, different shapes for it. You can add chorus on a reverb. You can add flanger on a reverb. You can add stereo spreading to a reverb, so that you place different reverbs in different moments and different spaces in the pan.
Actually, that was the exact reason why we have these two sense here. I mean, this could be our main, the delay could be our main thing, so that it runs all the way, and then the reverb just comes in like the last phrase of a vocal, at the end of the chorus. We can just automate that, and it will work really nicely. And if you feel that your delay is still bothering your vocal, just filter it, and make it just a bit smoother. So you don't get all these annoying S's.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you just filter that.
You can filter it on the way in or on the way out of the reverb, and you will get different effects.
In your vocal chain, just to confirm, how would it be? So de-esser in terms of what goes first?
Yeah, I definitely would say that I didn't hear a de-essing you don't have just to de-ess everything necessarily. I didn't hear a problem with this vocal, so that's why we didn't use it. I would say de-esser first. I would say let's fix things first. So if there is any harshness, let's get rid of it to begin with. If there is any weird ringing, let's address it with a dynamic EQ or with a multiband compression or with a just straight on EQ, and then start compressing.
So fix your vocal first.
Fix and then improve.
And then enhance it.
Enhance.
Don't enhance before you fix, because you're enhancing the bad things.
Exactly.
So.
It's a very good point, actually.
Earlier on you spoke about you can trick the ear.
You can trick the ear, yeah.
And you called it psycho?
Psychoacoustics. There's actually a great book by Levitin, what's his name?
I know what book you're talking about.
Understanding a Human Obsession, music.
Yeah, music.
Understanding a Human Obsession.
Can't remember the name of
Levitin, something Levitin. I will post it. If you like Dr. Mix on Facebook, just go on Facebook, like Dr. Mix. Tomorrow I'm gonna post it. It's a brilliant book written by a neuroscientist who used to be a sound engineer, and he explains exactly how many things we can hear, what we can hear, how we hear it, and I mean it gets very technical at some point towards the end of the book, but it's great. Psychoacoustics, and yeah.
I think another word I heard going back years ago was oral compensation. We know it's there, and we're making ourselves actually hear it. Like on a. Oh yeah, exactly.
Do you want me to? I can address that. Well, basically, the human ear is designed to get used to the environment, and so that I can detect minute changes. Like for example, if I'm talking to you and I hear some buzzing noise, this one, I will ignore it. But if all of a sudden I hear coming from the back, I will go, oh, what's that? So I acknowledge the sounds, I get used to them, and not notice them anymore. That's why you have oral compensation. So that's why you have to take breaks when you mix. And that's why you have to keep low volumes when you mix. Because you get used to the bad sound of your mix, and you will think that is okay. And then you reset your ears, just listen to people talk, the sound of the cars or the forest if you're lucky or whatever, then your ear rebalance, and then you get in the room, wow, was I doing that thing? Let me fix it, because now your ear is reset.
I think I heard it the other way around. Say you're listening to a poor stereo system, and you know that, say, there's, you know, tambourine and that, and it's not coming over that well, but you sort of, you know it's there.
Yes.
Exactly. It's also the way.
You can hear it.
Yeah.
It's also the way some processors work, like some bass enhancers work, like the BBE, like the R bass from Waves, like what else? Basically, what they do is they create harmonics. So basically, the bass you can't hear on small speakers like laptop speakers. But what these things do is they generate harmonics, upper harmonics, and when you hear it through that, you hear the upper harmonics, and your brain just generates, and it assumes that there is a bass there. Like, oh, okay, yeah, if you listen to another one, Bites the Dust from Queen, there's no bass on this bass, but you will still be able to hear the bass. It's just because you listen to the mid frequencies and the upper harmonics, and then your brain
Completes the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Questions, yeah.
Sorry, but I'm going increasingly worried about like my monitoring environment.
Monitoring environment.
Yeah, and I'm on a budget because I'm poor. How do you have any advice about how we can calibrate it or even know if it's decent and start to do anything about it?
That's I mean,
I don't want to take all the answers.
Also, no, it's just I mean, I totally get you. I mean, when I started, I think we've all been there. You have a room and you can't afford to have a treatment, and treatment is boring.
Yeah.
And you always want to get the best gear, instruments, but treatment is like, you know what? I can do without it. But no, you have to have it. If you can't afford that, I would say, well, there are some DIY solutions. If you Google them, they're all out there. I mean, you can treat your room. Another way would be, there is a very nice system from IK Multimedia. It's called ARC2. And basically what it does, it gives you a microphone. It's an omnidirectional. It still costs, but I mean, you also get the microphone. And it's like a plug-in. So basically what it does is you take measurements of your space, of your room. So it gives
through
you
your speakers.
Through your speakers. So you have the microphone. It emits like a
sweep.
Sweep, yeah, sine wave sweep, and then it tells you what problems you have, and then you add this plugin at the end of your master bus. Just don't bounce with it. Don't do exports with it, and it corrects your room. So it corrects the output of your speakers. So that's
according to
it works pretty well. It won't do miracles, but it works pretty well. If you can't hang things from your walls, because I know that's a problem for most people. Your landlord is going to be mad at you, so you can't do it, right? So that's the only other way you can do it. Or very good headphones, very good headphones.
Good headphones like the ones that we're giving away today.
So if you have, I think the best combination if you're on a budget would be system like ARC2 or KRK Ergo system. It's something similar. We're not endorsed by these companies, but ARC, I use it, so I know it. So that's one thing. And in combination with headphones, so what I would do, I would mix on my speakers with ARC, and then when I have to judge the low end, I would switch to the headphones, because your speakers can't tell you the truth. If you have a very small room, there's no way your low end is going to translate well.
You have to imagine that the low end takes a lot of space to create. I mean, the maths are pretty simple, like a nice low end, it can, your low end realistically can go up to down to 50, 40, so that kind of frequency, if you were to reproduce it correctly, you would need a room of like at least 12 meters or 15 meters to even get one cycle complete. So it's always a compromise. Headphones, it's a great compromise. Yes.
Sorry, earlier you used sidechain compression.
Yes.
With your bass and your kick.
Right.
Because obviously they're competing in the low end.
Yep.
Do you not worry about losing some of your high end when you're just?
Am I worried about losing high end when I do
I
the side chain.
I think I get it. You mean on the bass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes we use
Yes.
multi-band compression.
Exactly.
And we just do it to the bass.
Sometimes instead of using like a single band compressor, we use a multi-band and we just sidechain the low end.
But also you have to imagine that you are only really compressing when the kick hits. And when the kick hits, if you've done it right, you get low end, but you also get a click. You get a nice loud click along with that kick drum. So when that hits, you're not gonna hear much of the bass anyway, even if it's dun 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 dun. On the when the kick hits, you're gonna have a and that's gonna cover up the high end. So don't worry about that too much. If I have, like a steady note that's telling me where the harmonic center is, and I'm afraid of losing my tonal center even for just a fraction of a second, then yes, I will use something like a multiband compression and apply sidechain just to the low end. Good question, great question actually.
Also sidechain, it's a very, very good topic because you don't only have to use it on bass, sidechain to the kick drum. You can also use it on vocals. You can say, I want to sidechain my piano and my guitars to the vocals. So when the vocals kick in, your mid-range of the piano or of your guitars gets scooped a little bit with multi-band sidechain compression. So it creates like a nice, space for the vocals to sit in. And that actually has two benefits. First of all, you don't have to make your vocals very loud. You can keep them on the same level, but because the other things will be ducking a little bit, they will feel like they're louder. Again, a trick. And also, you gain headroom because when the vocals kick in, the vocals are a substantial part of your headroom as well. So you gain some more headroom for the vocals, and also they feel like they are in the mix. So sometimes vocals seem disconnected to the mix. That's one more reason. If you do this trick and you sidechain just the mid-range to the guitars or anything that could interfere with the vocals, then you get like a nice, it's like the rest of the instruments embrace the vocals in a nice way and they don't interfere. But when the vocals stop happening, you still get the instruments in full level and your ear can't tell. If you set the attack and release right, you won't be able to tell.
All right, so you've gone for the double somersault. I'm going to go for the triple somersault.
Okay.
So one more thing that you can do if you use MS. So basically, you treat stereo and mono individually. You only compress the mid frequencies in the mono, not in the stereo. So that basically it's even more concentrated. So just the mono makes space for the vocals. That's mono anyway, and what's on the side is not going to be disturbed. How do you
your
like
mix
that?
is wider.
It makes us wider.
So yeah.
Well, but to the point of psychoacoustics, one thing that makes mixes wider. We're going trick right now. One thing that makes things wider. Your brain knows that if a sound is coming from here, it's gonna slightly hit this ear first and this ear later. So based on that angle and how the difference, then your brain will know where the sound is coming from. But if you play with the phase of the sound, your brain won't know where it's coming from, and it goes, "Oh God, I cannot really place this," and that's going to add a third dimension to your mix. Or you just, artificially, another trick, you can do brighten up left channel, darken right channel. Your head will go like this. And within a mix, while you still have your kick drum hitting, and when you still have the vocalist, having a sound that makes half of your head go like this, it will give you a sense of space. So using psychoacoustics, knowing a little bit of psychoacoustics helps a lot.
Okay, I have one more trick. And it's actually the cheapest trick you can do because you don't need any specific plugin to do this. How to make sounds ultra wide. Okay, let's work with these vocals here. And I'll remove the reverbs.
Lose your body to the beat.
So it's very easy. You can do it in any DAW. Just add a delay plugin, stereo delay plugin. All right? And what you want to do is you want to make it not in sync, not in beats, not in musical values, but
This would apply more to backing vocals, to be fair.
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
Just
but
because we have vocals,
for,
we're gonna do it to this.
Just for demonstration. I mean, you wouldn't do this on your main vocal, but for some instruments, you want to spread your synths. You want to spread a mono guitar. You have only one taker. There's no other way you can save it. You want to make it really wide, but you can't do it. That's a very cool trick. So it's stereo, cool. You have to work on a stereo track to do this, for this to work. So you take a basic delay plugin, like this one. Pro Tools have another one. Logic, I'm sure it has another one. So fully mixed, so 100%, no feedback, all right? And one channel delay for 25 milliseconds or something like this, 30 milliseconds. Let's make it a bit more prominent. Let's make it 30. And now check what happens.
Feel the rhythm in your feet. Let's get this party started.
I'm not sure if you can hear it through these because they have a big, distance. If you listen to it on monitors or your headphones, it becomes like extremely wide because one channel is delayed by 30 seconds, but you don't perceive it as a delay. If I go longer, check what happens.
Lose your body to the beat.
And that's lost.
Feel the rhythm in
But until 30, 35, you don't perceive it as a delay, but it makes it extremely wide. Also, if you find that you can't make your vocals sit in a mix, try that trick on your synths, on your guitars, and basically it leaves the middle signal to the vocals to do their thing, and then everything is spread left and right, and it's super wide.
One thing that you might need to do is because one channel is say the left channel in this case was getting earlier than the right channel, then you might perceive this as a unbalanced panning. So you might need to recoup because of that. So that's just the only caveat about it.
Yeah, but most of the times if you see it's just the sound is delayed by 30 milliseconds. It's not something, but I think this is called like the has effect, has delay.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's there is a name for that. But it's very, very cool, and sometimes you pay lots of money to get like stereo wideners, and this works better. And you can make it as wide as you want as well, because you can say, I want to be a bit more narrow. Just change the panning. If you make it, in the center, it will sound like a chorus.
Lose your body to the beat. Feel the rhythm in.
So it's a very cool trick. Not on lead vocals though.
Not on lead vocals, yeah.
Do you get any phasing issues with a lot of parallel processing?
Oh, all right. Excellent question. Do we get phasing issues with parallel processing? You can, definitely. But not Cubase. Cubase has a great way of compensating for the delay of the plugins, so it doesn't do it. It doesn't mean that everything is safe, because, for example, if you use multiband compression as a parallel, you will get phase issues. If you use an EQ that is not excellent, then that doesn't have a good phase correlation, you will get phase issues. You will get phase issues if when you use specializers or with effects like this one that we just demonstrated. So again, we're not pulling triggers, we're just giving you weapons. So you have to be careful, make sure that your DAW, experiment with it. The best way is you experiment with it, see if you get any phase issues. Hit mono and see what happens.
And also, if you have phase issues, you will know straight away, because you will get this weird chorusy effect when you add the parallel. Some DAWs do it better than others. Actually, we had this problem with, I won't mention what DAW.
We don't mention.
Yeah, but we had this problem with, and we had a hard time, and we wanted to make something work because we were using lots of parallel compression and lots of parallel processing. But I mean, there are very, very few plugins that introduce, face problems.
Sound ready, auto align.
Oh, auto align, yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
I think that the minute that you have to resort to that thing, it means that you got something wrong along the way. So I would suggest that you sort out the problems at source rather than trying to fix it later. So, but yeah, I've heard that is a very good plugin for the drums. Yeah, drums. Yeah, I mean just placement. It's placement in your stereo. You have your overheads. Just make sure that you pan the instruments where they're exactly positioned in the pan, on the overheads. Things like that. It's just a bit, paying attention to things, and then think music. This is all into. I mean, we're getting very technical, but all this is balance. All this is music. So if you keep your music present, and if you concentrate on the message that you're trying to deliver with that song. I'm also a DJ, so I get to experiment tracks on people and see how they react. You learn very quickly what works and what doesn't work. And when you make that, when you have that experience, you can't ignore that the minute that you're mixing. So listen to music, A, B, compared to other mixes, compared to other music, but music is communication. So if you have a strong concept of what you do, then that's gonna drive your playing action, singing action, mixing action, mastering action. So it's your gesture. You wake up in the morning and you make music for a certain reason. That certain reason will come across your sound. So if you are in for the fame or because you need attention, we all need attention. We all want to be loved. But if you don't concentrate on the craft and on just the sheer brilliance of music and why you're doing that, if you don't get that concept straight, then your mix will not sound good. All right. Well,
hope you enjoy it. I mean, I don't know if you have any more questions.
You're using Apple. Can you do all this on Windows?
That's mine. Yes. Absolutely yes. Yes. Yes.
He just made me spend $3,000.
Don't let anybody tell you have to work with a Mac to do music or photos or anything. It's the same thing. Both of them have their good and bad points. But yes, actually, our fastest system is a PC in the studio.
Sorry, it is.
And I want to say something because I'm sure that Aaron was screaming in the back, but we couldn't hear him. And very nice plugin that does what we said before, this multi-band thing, but it does it in a nice dynamic way. You wanted to say that, right? Track Spacer, yeah. That's a very nice plugin. It's very cheap as well. How much is it?
It was on sale recently for about £30.
Yeah, you see, we're using many different plugins. We of course have our favorites, but we're trying to use a wide spectrum. We're not focusing on only one, manufacturer or something. But yeah, stuff that needs to be mentioned, it's good. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you for coming around. Give yourself a big round of applause. My name is Claudio, his name is Dom, his name is Aaron, and we are the Dr. Mix team. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, guys.